Here's the AGA 4 oven cook stove. This one runs on natural gas, and the burner's located here in the middle. This one's on, but I have one outside. I'm going to show you how to clean this. First, you turn the gas off, make sure it's cooled down, and then disconnect this fitting here, and then loosen these 4 screws. Lift it up, and the burner assembly will come out. And I'll go outside and show you what that looks like. Okay, out here on the bench, I have 2 of these natural gas burners from an AGA. This one here is the used one. This one's been running in the oven about 22 years. And you can see it's got some scale built up. And this one over here is brand new. It's never been installed. It's a backup burner in case we ever need one. You can see the igniter is still intact on this one. On this one, the igniter button is missing. What happens is the plastic degrades, and one day you find the spring and the top of the button laying in the bottom. But I've got a replacement I'm going to be putting in there. But first I'm going to show you on here, we use a soft bristle brush to clean the scale off of this. There's really not many parts to it. This is where the voltage arcs across to this point here when you press the igniter button. And this is the pilot light up under here. And this would also serve to ignite the gas coming out of that top. This here is the thermocouple that generates a voltage that comes back into the valve to keep the valve working. And this is a sensor that monitors the temperature of the oven and regulates it from a high fire to a low fire. It's just got 2 settings. It's either going to be on high or on low, one or the other. So basically, I take a soft brush, toothbrush, and just work it around, and you can see the scale coming off of the stainless steel burner assembly. And it's been burning, it's been on for 20 some years, and it's surprising how little maintenance this requires. I think the only thing I've ever had to do was replace the sensor once in the to the thermocouple. But I have a few extras just in case I ever need to do that again. I believe this stove is out of production, so I went ahead and bought some extra parts so I could maintain it myself in years to come. As I believe these are kind of hard to find in the United States. I think they're more common in England, but here in the United States, they're I don't know, not many people have them. And, the AGA, I've been told, stands for Amalgamated Gas Accumulator, but I'm not real sure if that's true or not. I don't really know. No one ever seems to really know. But, I did take some classes in how to install the AGA and how to maintain it, but that was a long time ago, back in the 90s, and if you don't do it every day, you kind of forget. So I have a friend of mine that I call on every now and then, and he's up on these stoves. He knows, he works with them every day, so he's able to help me if help me remember what I might have forgot, or tell me some tips that I've never heard. So basically, you just clean this up, and I'm also going to change out this piezoelectric igniter. It's broken. I'll get one of those, and so here's the replacement piezoelectric igniter. The way it works, there's a crystal in there, and when you push down this button, it shocks the crystal and generates a high voltage. And I believe the arc is 1,000 volts for every 1/10 of an inch. That looks like about 4/10 of an inch gap there. So I'd say this puts out at least 4, maybe 5,000 volts. I've seen the gap even longer. So here I'm gonna remove this cover and see what I need to do to replace it. Looks like it requires a number 1 Phillips. The English words for everything are kind of unusual. You think when you're reading it that you're able to understand what they're talking about, but in reality, it's not always the case. So with the cover off, pretty interesting. It looks like this igniter there's nothing really holding it in. It just sits in there, and there's the ground lug that actually just connects to the body of this valve. So it's going to be pretty easy to replace, I guess. There's just one push-on terminal here. I'll disconnect that. And these are the identical parts. So this one's got a little bit of a bend on this tab, so I'm going to bend mine that way too. And I'll insert it back in here like the old one was. And this tab was resting on this slot here, so I'm going to put it right back where it was. If I can get it to, let's see. Here it is. Right there. So now I'll just connect this terminal. This is the high tension line. And then just simply, let's see if I can get it to go back in there. Will it go? There it is. Run in the number 1 screw. And now it's hopefully ready for another 20 years. Of course, this won't last 20 years. These usually break after about 1 or 2 years, once the summer comes. You can see on this one, there's a big spring that goes here to the top, and that's what this looks like. It fails right around this edge here, and the plastic just gives way, and then the spring and the top of the button fly out. But I bet it would still work. I don't know if I want to generate 5,000 volts onto my finger right now. But, so that's how you would work on the this AGA gas cooking valve. It has also some odd threads here. These aren't standard threads that attach here. You have to have a special, it's a BSA thread, I think, the English standard thread. And so I had to order that tap to be able to attach this to my gas line, but luckily I've got that somewhere if I ever need it to use it. This is the high tension line that runs into the up to this porcelain based igniter, and you can see this is the thermocouple, generates a small voltage that is enough to keep this relay engaged, and the pilot light is right in this area. And I know it doesn't look as clean as the brand new one, but I believe it will work. It was working fine when I pulled it out. I just wanted to clean it up a little and make it trouble-free for years and years to come.